Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Two in the Cooler. Thank you guys for watching, listening, subscribing, and all that jazz. And, of course, if you want to support the show even further, the best way to do that is by checking out our merch, okay? There's going to be something on you there that you like. We've got hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeves, pint glasses, bucket hats, fanny packs, whatever you're looking for. Not just logo merchandise. We've got hashtag pizza tipping and the Matt Can't Read stuff as well. You can get all of that at the link in this episode description or in our Instagram bio, or just go and check it out for yourself at snackspot.se/creator/teespring.com. We've got merch on there, not just for this show, but also for Schemin' and Dreamin', the other show that we produce right here. And I'm talking, I'll tell you something. This merchandise, this is not the stuff you're getting from other shows. It's that one, it's that brand that's all boxy and disgusting. No. These are clothes that are going to make you look as good as they make you feel. I'm talking tri-blend fabrics, people. So if you want to get on there and support the show, check that out. Link's going to be in this episode description or in our Instagram bio. And again, you can find it at snackspot.se/creator/teespring.com. If you're like me, you hate going to the grocery store because it's packed, the parking lots are terrible, you can never find anything, it's a labyrinth of products. Oh my gosh, where's the peanut butter and the coffee and all this other stuff? People are ramming their carts into each other. It's a horrible, horrible place, and I'd like to avoid it altogether. The good news is that's possible now with Instacart. With Instacart, you can get not just groceries, but some of your favorite products from some of your favorite local stores delivered right to your front door in as little as 1 hour. And the best part is right now, Two in the Cooler listeners get free delivery on their first order of $10 or more. All you got to do is spend $10 and Instacart will deliver whatever you're looking for right to your front door. You pull into the driveway and all of a sudden you realize, oh, I forgot the whatever. Oh man, what are you going to do? Turn around? No, that's a waste of time. You don't need to do that. You can make your life a little bit easier by using Instacart. And again, $10 free delivery on your first order of $10 or more. Just hit the link in this show description, get yourself that deal, and start using Instacart today. And if you're interested in advertising on this show or our twin show, Schemin' and Dreamin', email snackspotsports@gmail.com for details on how you can start reaching thousands of listeners in the Buffalo area and beyond. Podcasting, it's become a huge thing, and it's attracting massive companies. McDonald's advertises on podcasts. Frickin' McDonald's. That's insane, but the reason they do it is because they know it's worthwhile. They know that they're getting it's a good investment for them advertising wise, because you can't the only reason to really advertise on local TV or in the newspaper or whatever is if your target demo is like 65 plus. Okay, and my problem with these big companies getting in on the podcasting is that there's no place for small local businesses to get in on the action. But that's what we are here for. So if you're interested in learning more about all the benefits to podcast advertising, again, email us at snackspotsports@gmail.com.
What are... I was going to say this.
Yeah.
What are the dancing eyeballs in Spy Kids? Is there floating eyeballs?
Let me see. Why did you find a picture of them?
Yeah, from the Flugly song. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, so they like in the weird when they show a part of Floop's television program, the Fuglies. Oh, dude, let's take a minute to talk about Tony Shalhoub, who is also, because Matthew just pulled up a picture. He's the real bad guy in Spy Kids. Spoiler alert for Spy Kids, I guess. I can't even remember his name in that movie, but Tony Shalhoub, TV's Adrian Monk, one of the best actors of all time, dare I say.
You kind of look like a Fugly.
You look like a Fugly.
No, I don't.
Fuck you. Okay, yeah, that's a Fugly. You were singing some weird Fugly song when we first sat down.
I don't know. I was singing podcast, but I used all my energy doing that. I'm tapped.
Phenomenal. Well, that's good.
Man. No, I listen. I walked in high energy. Usually when I walk in here, it's already dark out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very sunny and warm still.
You know what I'm worried about?
What?
Is as the summer approaches, we're going to have issues with the parking lot people again.
I don't give a fuck about those people.
I know.
I own those fucking people.
Well, that's messed up because they're really weird. There's something not right about those people.
Listen. It is what it is, man.
I just don't want to, yeah. We'll deal with it in due time, but that's the one bad part about. I'm like sweating over here, man. I feel hot in the studio today.
It's not that warm.
I feel like it is. I bought this massive sweatshirt in Disney World.
Why massive?
Because I like it. Like
no, but like why'd you call it massive then? It looks like a
feels,
fitting.
It feels massive.
Looks like a good fitting
like right
sweatshirt.
now. Okay. Not sure how I feel
The
about
Spider-Man. Did you know that the next Spider-Man movie is going to be awesome?
I guess I would have just assumed that.
Also, the Doctor Strange movie I think looks really cool that they trailered at the end of Spider-Man.
Mhm.
The commercials are on now. I don't know if you see them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I don't think I ever watched the first Doctor Strange movie, though.
You know, the first Doctor, it's good, and Benedict Cumberbatch is like, he's a perfect Doctor Strange, man.
Yeah.
He's so good. But it falls into one of those, the thing about Marvel movies.
Maybe I have watched
in
it.
some ways that they've kind of put themselves in this position where these movies that are basically just one-offs to introduce new characters. Doctor Strange, I mean, even like the first Thor movie, but that's different because we hadn't gotten Avengers yet. But with Doctor Strange and with Shang-Chi was really good, but even a little bit with Shang-Chi, it's just kind of like such a big part now of consuming Marvel content is only consuming it so that you can see how it fits into the broader world.
Yeah.
So you don't even really give a shit about the arc of that actual movie because it's just like
you just want to see how it ends so you can figure out what the after credit scene is and how it's going to tie into.
Exactly.
Well, I think that I had this conversation with somebody the other day, and I think that the rest of this upcoming Spider-Mans are going to be really cool because the debate was I thought that like the Avengers version of Spider-Man was so cool, like the Iron Man style Spider-Man suit, all that high-tech stuff. I thought that was awesome. I wish like that version of Spider, because to me that version of Spider-Man is so much like more powerful because he has all these other aspects to him, whereas I think the way that it's going now though, like the way that the most recent movie ended, I think that they're bringing him back to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Like I think the next Spider-Man movie, he's gonna be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's gonna have a regular suit.
Yeah,
and he's gonna be
bringing him back to the classics a little bit.
Yeah, because nobody knows who he is now.
Yeah,
not even happy. So like he isn't an Avenger anymore because nobody knows he exists. Even Doctor Strange doesn't remember the kid. So that's all I had to say.
Yeah, but I mean, do you like that idea? Or
well,
what?
At first I was like, nah. I liked the way Spider-Man was when he was an Avenger, and then because like I said, the argument started like, was he cooler when he had like the homemade suit practically, or was he cooler when he had the Tony Stark suit? I thought Tony Stark suit. I didn't want him to go back, but I guess if he's gonna go back and be a regular Spider-Man, that is cool. He can't go back and be like an Avenger style Spider-Man though, if he doesn't have the Tony Stark suit.
Yeah, if he doesn't have the stuff. But it's cool. They did it in a good way though, is what it turns out to be, right? Because of how many Spider-Men there were before to introduce him with through the Avengers and giving him high-tech suits almost immediately. In a weird way, we're kind of getting all those movies have almost been an origin story for him.
Yeah,
but
as to how he becomes now the new version of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
But in a little bit
Did you go on the Spider-Man ride?
That's at Universal Studios.
Oh, fuck.
But the thing about Spider-Man
that
has always that is the reason he's such a beloved character has always been the Spider-Man personality. He, more than any other superhero, has always been focused so much more on who's under the mask.
The suit. Yeah. Because he's the friendly neighborhood, so stuff always involves the area.
Well, he's so much younger than your typical superhero.
Yeah,
like he's still dealing with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He's got school and
babes.
Yeah, the big two.
Yeah, school and babes, man.
Yeah, he's got a lot. So
a lot to juggle: science fairs and robot contests.
But this Tom Holland is probably the best
I
Spider-Man
like Tom
in my
Holland.
book. He's really good.
I think he's just a cool
the way
guy.
they've done it. He seems like a cool dude. I heard that Uncharted movie with him and Mark Wahlberg is excellent.
I also love Marky Mark.
Yeah.
I've never seen that movie though, but I'd like now. I didn't actually don't think I know that he was in a movie. I didn't know what it really was or who else was in it. Now that I know Mark Wahlberg is on it, it's at the top of my list.
Yeah, it's based on a video game. I think it's still in theaters.
I bought. Oh, really? See, that sucks. Because I just don't have time to go to movie theaters. I would love to go see stuff. Like I haven't seen. Did you see the new Batman?
I did see the new Batman.
See, I haven't. I don't
Yeah.
have time to. And that was the thing with the new Spider-Man. I didn't see it until 2-3 weeks ago when I had to buy it. I had to buy the extended version, like the unlimited edition with all the extra bonus footage and stuff on Amazon in order to watch it. So I did. It was $19. It was worth it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing about Batman. I didn't get to see Batman for weeks after it came out, and everybody was like, oh, my God, have you seen Batman yet? Because everybody knows I'm a big superhero guy, and it was a really good movie. It's 3 hours long.
See, I'm fine with that. Sorry about the yawn, but I know people don't like the long movies, but I like the long movies.
Well, it's just for exactly what you're saying, though. Like, I had to lose like a full day, basically.
Well, here's you know what's funny is I heard this conversation on a different podcast, actually. It wasn't necessarily this conversation, but this is what it got to. Somebody was like, well, some people are like, oh, this movie's 2 hours and 50 minutes long. I can't invest that much time. So instead they sit there and watch like 8 episodes of The Office.
Right. Yes, and
which is different because you can,
different.
scroll. You're multitasking, but at the same time, you're still just sitting there. You might as well just watch the fucking 3-hour movie and then scroll.
See, it's not really about any of that, though. I don't think it's about it's about stories. Like a movie, as long as it is, it's one story.
Yeah.
TV episodes, you're getting something new every single time.
But that's what I mean. It allows you to be able to tune in and out without really missing anything,
which I guess
you can
is
just you're watching the next episode, right?
Which I guess is part of it. But I hate that. I hate being on my phone. Like I'm getting into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I
pro Buffy, anti the Vampire Slayer.
I really think you would like that show.
I guarantee
there
I
are
would.
Things. But you're not going to watch it.
No.
Why?
I just don't feel like it.
Okay, I guess
Yeah.
that's a fair point. If it's that simple.
Did you watch the basketball game last night?
I watched the last.
You watched the end of it?
Yeah, I watched the end of it.
I didn't. I only watched the first 3 quarters. I didn't watch the final. Like,
Well,
not
there's only
fit.
yeah.
And then, like, mathematically, like, I watched over a half of it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I didn't watch the very end of it. I didn't watch the last 10 minutes. I fell asleep.
So you missed out.
Yeah, but I kind of knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, I was not a big shock, really, but I'm glad.
Well, but if you only watched the very end of it, you didn't even see the beginning of it. So, of
No,
course, it's
but I
not a shock
heard.
for you.
Well, yeah, but I'm just.
Don't act like you have some mystical basketball brain.
No, that's fair. I don't know. It just felt. I guess you're right. But yeah, I didn't see the first. But I heard about the first half that Kansas was losing. They were losing pretty bad, weren't they?
Yeah, they were down 15
point?
at half.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
College basketball.
It's nuts.
It's spectacular.
Yeah, I like college basketball a lot. And that's it. Like I love college basketball, especially like March Madness. I don't watch it all year round. There's just not enough time in the day. There's too much college basketball that goes on. But how do you watch that and then go back and watch an NBA game and think like this is fun to watch?
I think just because of the pure athleticism, I guess, in NBA games is really high. I'm just spitballing here or whatever. And like yeah, I think that might just really honestly be it. And when aside from March Madness, the stakes feel higher. There's some of the best athletes in the world are in the NBA.
Stakes don't feel higher on a night-to-night basis, maybe in the playoffs.
I don't know. I kind of feel like they do.
Dude, I watched a 2-minute clip of a basketball game from last night, and it was the worst. It was like the most painful thing I've ever watched.
An NBA game?
It was like 14 turnovers in 2 minutes and no points.
Well,
maybe there
that'll
was one
happen
bucket.
sometime, sure.
But like, holy shit, man! It's just like.
I don't think that happens.
And like
too
my buddy
often.
was watching the Lakers game the other day, and I was tuned in, and you see LeBron sitting there on the sideline, jumping up and down in his fucking street clothes. It's like, dude, just throw on a uni and just go fucking play.
I don't know, man.
If they want to do like, and this is a thing I just popped into my brain again about the whole load management thing. Like, Dude, you don't have to play 45, 50 minutes a night because NBA basketball games are 60 minutes, right? No, 12. No, they're 44 minutes.
Yeah.
It's 4 12s. Okay, so play 35 minutes or 30 minutes. Play 22 minutes. Play half the game. You don't need to play every single minute. You can still play.
Sure.
And get rested.
But the problem is because of I don't know if you've probably said this in one of your anti-NBA rants, but the way that teams are built around stars, if your star is not on the floor or one of your stars is not on the floor, for like a lot of the game, the other team comes back and then you got to send them out there because you want to win.
No, but what if you're not playing them? The same things happen anyway. You're just gonna get rinsed.
That's a good point.
I mean, it doesn't like. There's another thing. Wins and losses don't matter in regular season basketball. They don't, because the teams that are good are going to win enough games to make sure they're in the playoffs.
Because
they can.
Just because there's so many games.
Yeah,
it's a lot easier to
and
do
like
that. But you don't feel that way about hockey?
No, because I think there's enough diversity in hockey and people play. For the most part, there's like a little thing that I'm kind of salty about right now with hockey too, and it is like there are teams, and it started unintentionally, I guess. Like, it didn't start as a thing, but it's kind of became a thing, and now they're going to change it. They're going to have to make a rule about it, where teams are like, if they have a guy who's injured or something, like one of their top players, they'll leave him on long-term IR, like all the way into the playoffs, and make like moves at the trade deadline and stuff, and spend a shit ton of money because that guy on IR isn't affecting their salary cap. And then even if he's healthy a month before the regular season ends, they'll leave him on IR and let him just practice and get like 100, like completely healthy and in game shape. And then come the playoffs, they'll play him because there's no salary cap in the playoffs. So then they're like $13 million over the salary cap, winning the Stanley Cup, but there is no salary cap in the playoffs.
Really?
And then they just figure out a way to make it work again. The salary cap, people say the salary cap isn't real in sports now, and it is, but it's kind of not. Like, football is a perfect example. Like, football now, guys just sign, like, teams are like, yeah, I'll sign you to an 8-year deal because they know they're only going to play 3 years. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, they don't care about those next 5 years, right?
Yeah.
They just, but that's how, they make it look better. And even that guy knows he's not going to, but then there's more money involved. And I don't know. So I'd like to see that changed from the NHL. And, but it just ties into what I don't like about basketball. Like, I don't think regular season games matter. Like, in the NHL, there's also there's a pride thing about, hockey players in the NHL, I feel like, compared to basketball players. Not saying that basketball players ever want to lose, but there's like a general consensus now in the NBA that like you don't have to win, like there's no urgency to be the best team,
right.
The best regular season team of all time. Nobody cares.
It's a systemic problem within the league itself.
Yes.
Okay, that the NHL has not gotten to yet.
No. Like, there's still like a sense of pride in like being the best regular season team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But yeah, the NHL playoffs are wacky too, like the format. So it kind of like can negate what I just said, or will eventually maybe, because you can be the first place team and play, one of the second best teams rather than playing the last place team. It used to just be 1 plays 8. You know what I mean? It's not like that anymore. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the NHL the only league that has that weird switch with the cap, where like for part of the time
in playoffs?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I think it,
because like baseball just has 0 salary cap across the board.
Well,
right?
No, that's not true. It's called can't remember what it's called. It'll come to me. But they have a salary cap. But you don't have to stay under it. You can go over it by as much as you want, but you have to pay a tax back to the league.
Oh, okay.
For whatever percentage on whatever amount you're over it.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. I think it has. I don't know. I would have to look into it, and that makes me curious because I think it has a lot to do with the way that, like, you can move players in and out of your active roster, like from minor league systems and stuff like that. Like NFL probably isn't like that, but I don't know. Because you wouldn't put a guy, because like in the NFL, if somebody's on your practice squad, they're technically a free agent. Like somebody can go sign them, right?
Yeah.
And you would, in theory, have right of first refusal, but they could just get signed. You know, anybody could come in and sign them. So you couldn't take a guy that was making $30 million. You couldn't take Stephon Diggs and say, yo, we have, 4 stud wide receivers. We know you're not going to lose your step. We're going to put you on the practice squad for the whole year so your salary cap doesn't affect us. And then boom. And I mean, I don't know how like it works with salary caps when players are injured, but in the NFL, but yeah, I don't know. But the NBA's a joke.
I mean, it's hard.
But it's so
hard
popular.
to argue with that now. That's true. I don't know. The pace of it is so exciting. Like there's a lot to be said for that as far as like how you can get the NBA probably has the easiest time getting new fans.
Yeah,
more
because
so
it can be
than-
so exciting.
It can be so
watching
exactly. And you're like especially if you're not really into sports in general and you turn this thing on and there's like a scoring play happening like every couple of seconds, you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah, which is another thing that I realized about basketball the other day is like defense in basketball is so funny to me because I always used to watch. It used to dumbfound me how people could ever play defense in basketball without fouling out every game. Like it doesn't make sense. But then I realized like, well, that's kind of part of playing defense in basketball is sometimes you would rather let the other team score than to foul.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes vice versa.
Which is, I know, but that's the thing is like they're so high scoring, it makes sense like that. Whereas like a lot of other sports, you would rather take a penalty or draw a flag or do anything
every time
besides let the other team score.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's interesting. I've
Yeah.
never thought about that.
I'm watching March Madness. I'm like, I think about playing basketball and like even playing with my friends. How many fouls happen that we don't even notice are fouls when you're playing because like everything is a foul in basketball. Like you can't even touch people.
Yeah.
Like I mean you know what I mean? Like you can't. How do you? Every time I see a block, I assume it's a foul. I don't know how there's ever a block without a foul because every time I see a foul, I'm like, oh, that was a block. Or like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Especially at the rim. That's what I mean. So I don't know how you play defense.
That's one of the reasons
inside
I love
the
blocks
paint.
so much. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
how do you?
But even that, there's like you can
Well, I
only
know
stay
there's
in there for
rules.
so
yeah,
long.
but I just mean
that
in
sort of thing.
general, like in that area, like when somebody's driving the basket, I feel like your only options are score or foul.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why that happens so often. But again, that's how you play good defenses, and that makes a difference. Like there are definitely people who are able to, I don't know, I guess have better sight of the ball and know how to play. And there's like different, like there's a real strategy to blocking. Like there's a real way to do it. It's not just like jump up and do whatever.
Yeah, I mean these people
like there's
are
strategy
professional
to it.
or like high-end athletes.
Yeah.
I know that they know what they're doing, but it's still like it just doesn't make sense to me that that whole sport, I suppose. Oh man.
So Elon Musk is like he's like the majority stockholder of Twitter now.
I think that's fucking awesome.
It's really, really, it's a cool move. It's the fact that somebody is able to do that is insane. Like he took, because I saw that he had, purchased, so he owns
9%,
a little over 9% of the company now, but he's the largest stockholder. But when I read the full article and it showed how he came to that decision was through a Twitter poll. That's insane.
Well, I think what's cool about it, I think if I was him, the reason that I would have done it, and I think it's part of the reason that he did it, is because Twitter specifically, amongst a lot of other forms of social media, have become primarily one way, one-sided politically in the way that they're ran and the way that they, control content, as people say, which they do somewhat, but either way. And I think he's on the other side of it politically. So I think he's like, if I just become the majority shareholder in this company, they can never completely like run it without my input.
Sure. I mean, that's the thing is
But Twitter stock went up 20% after he did that.
Yeah, of course. Because they've sold so much and such, like, immediately.
Yeah.
Like, that's, of course, that's how it works. So, yeah, he was tweeting. His big thing was, like, there's a big problem with free speech on this platform that's really runs the world at this point as far as opinions and things go. And the problem is there's no, whoever you are, whether you're the folks who have been running it, whether you're Elon Musk, who again, he's not running it, but he's just now he's just on the board. And obviously he's got a good amount of power being the majority stockholder, but he's got some say, but it's not his completely, obviously.
He's not coding the shit.
But there's no full bias. And like, even if he said, hopefully he does I don't know. Hopefully something happens that makes Twitter better. I'm not really on there, so I don't really know why it's so bad. I just see that people yell at each other a lot on there.
Yeah.
But there's no control. Or, Jesus Christ, sorry. Twitter is never going to be fully, quote unquote, free of speech or whatever. Like, there's always going to be, and also a thing like Twitter.
Guidelines.
There's things that show up in your feed or whatever based on other stuff. So there's it's so massive. There's corners of things that you're not seeing, whether you agree with them or not.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, the only thing I saw him tweet was, "Do you guys want an edit button?" And it was like a yes or no Twitter poll. That was it. I don't know what the vote was. I didn't vote because I don't care. I would say I think I would almost go as far as to say no, but it is inconvenient if you ever like type out a tweet and just spell one single word. Like you just like spell one word wrong.
That's true. I will say
retweet it.
Yeah, I will say using Instagram so much that's happened like
because you can edit Instagram
quite amount of times. Yeah, exactly, and it does help because it always like.
But I think Instagram is very different than Twitter in the way that they like their basic ideology.
Yeah,
Instagram, you're putting up stuff for people to see for periods
I know
of time.
what you mean.
Whereas Twitter, it's supposed to be.
I gotta take my shoes off or something.
Why? You got stinky feet?
No, my feet.
Dude, if I start
stink.
smelling feet, I'm gonna be pissed.
They're just uncomfortable in these.
Yeah,
I'm wearing Velcro shoes, everybody.
Yeah, your birthday's coming up.
I guess so.
Yeah, I got you a present.
Did you really?
Yeah, it's not here today. I wanted it to be here today, but it would have cost an extra $20 to ship to get it here today.
Oh, wowza.
So I said, I'll let it come in when it comes in. And you'll get it eventually.
Interesting. Let me ask you this. It's no secret, in recent years, I've been crushing the present game when it comes to you.
Yeah. You got me a good Christmas present for sure. A couple years running. I don't remember if you got me a birthday present.
I got you the...
Oh, yeah, the blanket.
The Vampire Diaries blanket.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is, again...
That's what I got you, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer blanket.
That's funny.
I didn't get you that. But I should have. It would have been a good idea. I don't even know if you could find one of those.
Oh, for
on
sure.
eBay.
Man. Dude,
used. Found wrapped around a corpse.
In the past 2 weeks or whatever, since I've been watching the show, I've run into 2 people with Buffy tattoos, like just at random. It was a popular show.
Yeah, I put out like a tweet. Hey, does anybody have a Buffy the Vampire Slayer blanket for sale? So he's like, yeah, I'll give you $20 to take it. Yep.
Thanks for pointing at me so I knew the joke was over. My God.
Good joke.
But the thing that is really fun about watching that show is the 90s were such a funny, like, it's just so funny watching
people were
all
characters,
the 90s.
man.
I don't, I mean, we were only alive for like
A little bit of
the
it.
few years of that decade, but it seems so insane. Like it seems like a weird. It seems like just a super weird time for the culture. Like I don't even know. I can't even describe really what happened, but it's so strange. And watching it through the guise of like because it was when the CW was called the WB. It's like
The
that,
CW is so good.
that's just not true.
Yeah, they crank out bangers.
That is just not correct.
The first season of All American was really good.
Right. I've heard. See, that's something I've heard mixed things.
I
about
never
that.
watched the second season.
But like, well, because obviously it's a Warner Brothers network, so they've got like the DC Comics characters. They had the Arrow show, which
The
some
Flash,
of that
wasn't
are
that-
like. Yeah, I think the Flash is still going on actually, and that show, the Flash, is my favorite superhero of all time, and that show stinks.
Well, didn't you
it's
used
terrible.
to like it?
The first, well, yeah, but honestly, that was only because
It was the Flash.
it was the Flash, and I was just so excited to see, because like this is when
How
superhero
about-
stuff was still coming up.
question.
Yeah,
That guy, the
who's good? Yeah, Ezra Miller.
Murdoch. No,
No, which guy? Oh,
I'm talking
Matt
about
Murdock. Oh, from the Marvel
Spider-Man.
stuff. Okay,
that's Daredevil, right?
that's Daredevil.
That's what
yeah,
I thought.
yeah.
When he so does that mean? Do you think he's gonna be in something soon? Because you know when he catches the brick,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "How'd you do that?" He's like, "I'm a really good lawyer."
Well, they had.
Was he in something else?
So he is the same guy from the Daredevil Netflix show.
okay.
So they've brought him into the MCU. Then the Daredevil Netflix show, because Netflix, they had 5 Marvel shows total. It was Daredevil was the first one, and then they did Luke Cage or Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. These are they're
remember,
part
yeah.
of the Defenders, which was the 5th show they did, which was like all of them. Daredevil, so good, and that guy, that actor Charlie Cox, unbelievable. Everybody loves him, and for good reason, because he's spectacular as that character. Jessica Jones, the first season, eventually it got really good, but mostly Kristen, whatever her name is, who played
Wiig.
Jessica Jones, was good. Kristen Wiig, who plays Jessica Jones, was good, but David Tennant, who was the villain in that first season, unbelievable, but he's not in the second season. And then the other 2 shows, I mean, trash, like
I
hardcore
believe it.
trash.
How does that work then with
So-
Disney Plus?
Well, so here's the thing. So, when it was all going down, when Disney or whatever, they were like, "That's not canon," because those shows were a part of the MCU, but then they were like, "Nope," they threw it away. But because people love Daredevil so much and they love this guy as Daredevil, him being in Spider-Man Homecoming, they're like, okay, this guy
Wait,
is
he was
cool.
in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Or not Homecoming, the last Spider-Man, whatever it's called.
No Way Home.
No Way Home. So now what they're doing is like a soft reboot of Daredevil. So the other shows are still, they're out. They're gone, which is a good thing, honestly. But they're going to do like a Disney Plus like soft reboot of Daredevil. Because the other thing is those shows were like, they'd say the F word and stuff, and they were like super violent and gory and things like that. Definitely not like typical MCU style, or definitely not Disney style.
Yeah.
But this guy, I mean, that Daredevil Netflix show is really good, and it's on Disney Plus now. Those all are on Disney Plus now, but the other ones, like I said, they are just not
good.
They're so bad.
The Defenders.
The Defenders, yeah.
Ooh.
It was brutal. But these are really cool characters. And
Yeah.
Daredevil, the best, I don't know if you remember ever watching this, but we had a VHS tape of the old Spider-Man cartoon.
Yes.
And it was
Daredevil
the
was in
episode
it.
where he like crossed over with Daredevil.
Yeah, I
which is, like,
recall.
one of the best episodes or 2
That's
episodes
probably,
of
the
that
only reason I
cartoon.
know like about Daredevil.
So
I mean, I
cool.
know who he is, but
And that's like Universal Studios, because obviously Disney owns Marvel now, so their Marvel area doesn't have anything to do with the Marvel that people really know now. It doesn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with the movies, but there's something about that land still in Universal
That's
that's
so
so cool
cool.
because it's all based on the 90s Marvel
comics
and really the cartoons, I guess, because the Marvel X-Men cartoon,
which plays a big
huge
factor in that. I mean, you got the lightning bolt cups. What are they called?
What lightning bolt cups?
The fake teacups that are better than the
Oh
teacups.
my God, the Stormforce
Stormforce Accelerator.
Man, if anybody ever goes to Universal Studios,
you have to go.
Tucked away is the Stormforce
hidden,
Accelerator.
literally hidden
It's
from
hard
everything.
to find.
It's behind 3 bathrooms.
It's like tucked behind the Hulk and like far
no,
away.
it's actually it's across from the Hulk.
Okay, yeah,
and
I
then
remember
and then
now. There's like that restaurant.
And then there's that store.
Yeah.
And then behind the store is the Doomsday.
Oh yeah.
Drop, and then
or like next to it,
back
and
to
then
the left
it.
of that is the Stormforce Accelerator,
and that is
the most electric teacup style ride to ever exist. Like, not only do you go fast, but it also, you know how on the teacups you get spun, but very slowly, like not in the cup, but outside the cup. That spins you around, and it does a
There's everything. There are massive fans blowing on
flashing
you.
lights,
There's strobe lights. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And speaking of,
they make you take ecstasy before you get on it.
That'd be something, I imagine. Speaking of like teacup style rides, so in Hollywood Studios in like the Toy Story area, they have a spinning ride that's like the little green aliens from Toy Story, and they play like instrumental versions of songs from the movie. You Got a Friend in Me, whatever. When I was walking past that ride as it was spinning, they were playing the song from Toy Story 2 from the sad montage with Jessie the cowgirl, When She Loved Me. And I was like,
who spins
that's
to that?
ludicrous.
Yeah,
why are they doing that?
Yeah, why spin to that?
I'll tell you what, the opening scene from Up gets a lot of notoriety for being super emotional.
Because it is.
Absolutely. But the scene in Toy Story 2 where we learn about Jessie's past in full music montage, that does not get enough credit because that is devastating.
I think that so let me say this, and I've only been to Galaxy's Edge once, and obviously we know how unbelievable that looks. But I think from like a nostalgia standpoint, for me personally, the coolest looking thing that Disney has done is Toy Story Land. Like just the way that it is, and it's meant to make you feel like the toy, like everything's giant, but it looks so aesthetically spot on, like for Toy Story, and obviously it's a completely different class than Galaxy's Edge, which it had to be because Star Wars fans are fucking maniacs.
Mm-hmm.
But from like a nostalgia standpoint, like looking at it, it makes you feel like you're in a life-size Toy Story land. That's why it's called Toy Story.
That's the thing is like you can't just make large versions of toys. You can't just make like large wooden blocks. They have to look like Pixar blocks.
Yes.
And that is what they do very, very well.
And like even like and the big feature when you look at it is Slinky's Ride, and Slinky's Ride looks so much like something out of a Toy Story movie.
Right.
It's cool.
Yeah, they did a great job with that. It's really.
Did you get to go back to Galaxy's Edge?
Yeah, so I went to Galaxy's Edge, and guess what?
What?
The most notable thing this time around was I saw all the people walking around who are staying at the fucking Galactic Cruiser.
It's open?
Whatever. Apparently. I don't know, like, maybe these are, like, real special people, but there were a lot of them. So there's all these people walking around, and I don't really know I guess Disney actually, I learned, has some rules about dressing up. And if you're an adult, you're not supposed to, like, fully cosplay and go to the parks.
Why? Because they don't want you like pretending to be
maybe something like that, but also like probably a lot of people, like random people, will come up to you and like ask you where to find whatever.
Well, that's what I mean. They don't want you to. They don't want
that stuff.
Other people to think that you're a representative of Disney.
There you go. But that's an exception for the Galactic Cruiser people
because they have to, don't they?
I'm
pretty sure that's like I'm not going to say weird because I think it would be awesome, but like an interactive hotel where like you have to live like you're that. Like you can't go and just like maybe you don't have to wear the robes and shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people were more dressed up than others, but I think at the very least, everybody had like maybe like a Star Wars type belt on, but some people really, really went for it, and it's awesome. But here's the thing, you can tell because they give you all the people staying in the galactic cruiser or whatever, they have this little silver badge, and you can tell that like you have to be wearing that badge at all times. And there are like secret entrances out of the park to get to from.
Well, that's
that
what I
area
mean.
to
That's
the
probably
cruiser.
so. That's what I was gonna say is they probably have perks within Galaxy's Edge that nobody else has.
For sure. I don't know.
We gotta go stay there.
It's gonna be honestly because the thing, like we've talked about it before, like do we really want to go to Disney and just kind of do this one thing? After seeing a lot of this stuff, the answer is yes.
Yes.
Like it's absolutely
definitely
gonna be worth it to go check all this stuff out.
Yeah.
But that's what was real. Like there were cast members, Disney workers in like certain spots, like really on the lookout, like with tablets and stuff to basically guard the secret ways for just the.
That's crazy.
It was really.
We should either do it or find a way to forge, like not forge.
I
but
want to
like
try and get in there
yeah.
because like you would never know they were there unless you
We're really paying attention,
or were staying at the Galactic Cruiser because they're super out of the way. But
which probably could be confusing. Like, hey, how do I get out of here?
Hey, I'm a spacewalker.
Hey, I'm a guy from space. How do I get out of here? What? Look, the guy's got a thought.
I was just gonna. Oh, but I also don't know if they can go to other
places.
Places
Well,
in the park.
they
But I don't know how
probably
you
have-
could stop
well,
them.
You probably have free reign to go to Galaxy's Edge, like whenever you want, when the park is open. You know what I mean? You can probably just walk in and out.
Sure.
So that's what I mean. So whereas to go to the other parks, like to go to the rest of the park, you probably have to have a ticket.
Right.
Which also probably has something to do with the belt and the badge. Like if you see somebody walking around with the belt and the badge, you're probably like, hey.
Yeah.
Are you?
I wonder. But also, I mean, for some people, it's definitely to go outside of that area would spoil the whole interactive experience or fully immersive experience. Rather,
Which is what I meant when I was like, I think that's the point. You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to live within.
Yeah, you're supposed to live like Star Wars.
Yeah.
And my
cool.
God, they have so many. I don't know how you get the costumes. I don't know how much of this stuff you actually have to pay for, but the people who were decked out, they have like the coolest vests and stuff like ever.
Like solo vests.
I mean, even cooler than that. Like they were awesome. They were like
Fuck
these.
You mean cooler than
They were like these
vests.
leather vests and stuff. They were awesome. They really did. It was cool. I almost because even if you're not doing that whole deal, they sell like the Jedi robes and all that stuff. I almost every time I see them, I think about buying them. But what am I gonna do with that stuff?
Start LARPing.
Star Wars LARP. They definitely have that. Oh, they definitely have it, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. You want to do the Who Win of the Week?
Yeah, I will. I do want to do the Who Would Win of the Week. This week's Who Would Win: Inspector Gadget versus Tony Stark. Now, Inspector Gadget did not design his own body. He's not really a genius by any means. He's a detective, a pretty good detective from what I understand, but he's not a he's not a genius by any
Who designs it?
means. I think like the government does. I think the police scientists do or somebody. There's some kind of like Q-esque character that designed Inspector Gadget's body.
I think they're very I think they're very similar though. They both they both have resources to get this stuff made. I'm sure and they both have, things, people, AI systems that look out for them when they're doing this stuff.
That's right.
So it's like, now here's what would then be the debate is, which AI system is smarter?
Well, it's interesting. I don't know. I would say that probably Iron Man's AI system is smarter. However, Inspector Gadget's
car.
and I don't know if this is a good thing or I see scenarios where this may actually be beneficial. Sometimes Inspector Gadget's shit just like goes without him giving any signals.
It doesn't do what it's supposed to do too.
Sometimes, sure. He's still working it out,
which could confuse Tony Stark's AI because it's like, no, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Interesting. I wonder if that would
like
actually
that was supposed
work.
to be a boxing glove, not a ball of fire shooting at us. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, I think here's the other thing. So Iron Man, like he's got the weapon systems, right? Like he's got missiles and bullets and stuff. And Tony Stark, he puts up his hand and shoots things. But hold on. Let me finish this thought. The thing about Inspector Gadget is that his body literally has everything.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. I'm sure it has guns for one thing, suit. But it also has, like, he could shoot milk out at Tony Stark. Like, gallons and gallons, like a fire hose amount of milk.
And this is what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, we know that the Iron Man suit is bulletproof, but is it milk proof? Like, does he have windshield wipers? I know he could then turn on some, like, X-ray vision shit, but how do we know that Inspector Gadget doesn't have an X-ray proof mode?
Sure. The pure silliness of Inspector Gadget
could outdo the realisticness of Iron Man.
Right.
I kind of think so. And the reason the milk thing is funny to me is because you've seen the G.I. Joe movie with Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
You know when they are like first becoming G.I. Joes and they put them in those suits and they're chasing after Storm Shadow and the Warhead. And
they're like running after a car or something.
Yeah. And Storm Shadow goes one-on-one with the one guy, not Channing Tatum, the other guy, that's in the suit, and he throws a bowl of pasta sauce at him, and he's completely blinded. He can't see anything.
That's a good, I mean, real world examples, folks, using real world evidence.
Yeah, because the G.I. Joes are definitely real.
Iron Man Tony Stark rather, he does have a very high kind of tolerance for very wacky things.
Yeah,
though.
but also
like
Tony Stark
quickly.
is so arrogant. Like he sees things and he's like, that's not an issue. That's stupid. Like how do you think that could possibly be me? You know what I mean? He would see like something dumb that like he would see.
I think in the case of Inspector Gadget, that may apply.
Like he would see, Inspector Gadget like square up for a fight, and his hand turns into a rolling pin. You know what I mean? And Iron Man would be like, "The fuck?" So, like he'd be sitting there, like not even like mask suit up, like toothpick in his mouth, be like, "What are you gonna do to me with a rolling pin?" Milk.
and then he milks him.
Yeah, and then you attack.
We should probably cut out the phrase "and then he milks him."
I think Tony Stark's arrogance plays a super, super big role in this because it has played a big role in his ability to be Iron Man.
But I guess it all depends on because the second that the milk gets flowing from Inspector Gadget, which Inspector Gadget, he's got a lot of other things. I don't know why we're going with milk as his main weapon.
It pretty much is, as far as I'm concerned.
Perhaps it's all that he needs, though.
Well, it's just a good example of how, like,
just insane and.
But that's what I mean.
Seemingly,
if they could construct Inspector Gadget and they can put all these things in him, I'm sure if he was like, "Hey, I got to fight Iron Man in a week," they'd be like, "All right, let's throw some turrets in your stomach." You know what I mean? Like they would, if he had a little time to get his kit prepared, his gadgets gadgets prepared. I think they could stock him up to beat him. If you're talking about him as he is, I think it takes Tony Stark longer to defeat him because of that arrogance, but I do think ultimately Iron Man would win in Inspector Gadget's current state. If you gave Inspector Gadget, a week, 2 weeks, a month time and said, "Hey, you have to fight Iron Man on this day," I think that he would be a lot more prepared, a mix of more practical stuff along with even more goofy stuff to throw him off.
But the thing is, the practical stuff would probably go haywire, which in Inspector Gadget's case, though, with his track record, it could work. Here's the other thing, though. literally every part of Inspector Gadget's body has
A
some
gadget.
trick up.
Yeah.
So even if Tony Stark is blasting away, and let's say Inspector Gadget becomes even just a head at that point, he's never out.
No.
He's never out.
But this is my thing is,
Like, the head is going to
Again,
have something pop out.
I think Tony Stark in his suit with his AI would easily be able to scan Inspector Gadget and be like, this is a lot of shit, so it's not going to be easy, but we know at the very least what's there. Whereas, you know, when you're watching Iron Man, like every time you see Iron Man, his suit does something different. Like, think about the Spider-Man suit alone. Like when he starts figuring out that he can talk to it, and it's like instant kill mode, you know, stuff like that. Like there's
different kinds of webs.
27,000 modes or whatever you can put the suit into, and like that's probably just scratches the surface of what Iron Man's suit can do. And we don't even know.
Right. He does
So
still,
again, we
though,
don't know, and it goes the same way. We don't know everything that Inspector Gadget has to offer. But I just think that unless you were given the time to equip Inspector Gadget with a little bit more deadly force, even though it might take Iron Man a little bit of time to get through the wackiness, I think ultimately he wins. Whereas if you gave Inspector Gadget time to prepare and have more practical weapons for murdering somebody, then he'd probably have a better chance.
I don't know. He's such a klutz, though.
I know. On the flip side, that means you probably have to give Iron Man time to prepare, which means he's probably already re-engineered everything that Inspector Gadget has to offer, and he's figured it all out.
Well,
I mean, the man figured out fucking time travel.
That's true. That's tough to combat.
Yeah.
But also, even though Iron Man's can put so much into one suit, he still has a lot of suits that each kind of do something specific, generally speaking, for like a specific reason. Inspector Gadget, his whole, like, he's literally got everything.
He's a one-size-fits-all style suit.
Yes, exactly. And it works for him, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's not to his detriment.
Well, that's because he doesn't have, like, a human body. He is a... Yeah. He is a gadget.
He is a gadget.
Yeah.
He's Inspector Gadget.
Yeah. So, I'm going to take Iron Man. I just think that...
Because I think that this fight would either be... it could be like 30 minutes. It could be 15 seconds.
Might not even. It could be like Tony Stark staring down, looking at his phone, cannon to the chest.
But see, cannon to the chest
probably doesn't.
It's not going to take down Inspector Gadget.
I agree. But I just don't think that. Yeah, I got to take Iron Man in this situation. If you gave, if you gave Inspector Gadget more time to re-engineer his gadgets, not even fix them so they work right, but like mix in a few different ones. Maybe instead of, a fake dog barking noise that he can play, like you can play or you could put another gun in there. Like, he's going to need some firepower.
I really want to believe that Inspector Gadget wins this fight. And
I don't think it's as far off as it should be.
No, but I think that the element of surprise cannot be understated. I mean, the thing is, even if Iron Man's got Inspector Gadget dead to rights, all of a sudden skis fly out of his mouth, and he's like, Iron Man's floored again.
Yeah.
I want to believe Inspector Gadget, and I'm gonna pick. Oh God,
I don't think Inspector. I don't think that's a bad pick because I think that Tony Stark's arrogance is gonna give Inspector Gadget a chance.
I don't know if he kills Iron Man or Tony Stark rather, but I think he wins the fight. I think he at least wins this first battle without a doubt. The first initial battle,
and Tony Stark's got to fly away and re-engineer a plan.
But he's gonna be in bad shape.
All right, well, I'm gonna take Iron Man off the rip.
Okay. I got to go Inspector Gadget.
No, I don't think it's a bad pick. I don't think either one is a bad pick in this case. That is this week's Who of the Win of the Week. Inspector Gadget versus Iron Man. I really liked that Who would win the week. Well, Tony Stark. Did we do Iron Man? I think we did Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Same person, but like more to it, I guess. So vote on that on Friday on our Instagram. Who would win the week? Inspector Gadget versus Iron Man. I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about Tiger Woods.
Okay.
For a second.
Okay.
Have you,
he's playing in the Masters this year, right?
Well, he just announced today that he says he is going to play. It's still not 100%. Like, he still could decide at the last minute that he can't play. But, yeah, 17 months since he last played in a professional tournament. Car accident, this, that, the other thing.
I forgot all about that
accident.
accident.
So he just, got back to, walking, 2 months ago.
Oh, shit.
I heard something on the radio yesterday, and it was before they were talking about the basketball game. And when North Carolina beat Duke in the Final Four, Jim Nantz said it was a miracle run.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys on the radio were like, it's not a miracle run. Like, they're North Carolina. It's not like it's St. You know what I mean? Like, they're an 8 seed, but it's still North Carolina. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, it can be a great story, emotional, big upsets. It doesn't mean it's a miracle run. A miracle run is a miracle run. And then they're like if Tiger wins the Masters this week, it's not a miracle run. And I was like, well, I don't know. It might be. Not but I guess they're right. It's not. I'm like, it's not a miracle because in my mind I see it as plausible, but it would just be, in my opinion, one of the greatest sports stories of all time. I feel like I've talked about Tiger Woods on here. I think he is the greatest athlete of all time. He is unbelievable to me. To do what he's done is impossible. Nobody, he's amazing. And when he's dominating, it's like nobody in the world could even attempt to ever be as good as he is, even on their best day when he's on. You know what I mean? When he's dialed in on a Sunday. And he's just and he's so cutthroat and he gets so focused. And he's gone through, all this shit and how famous he is and his whole life. I think that if he wins the Masters, I'll cry. And I want him to so bad. I think it would be so cool. It would be so good for humans if he won the Masters, because people would just have this natural high of oh my God, this dude. The last Masters he won, people said he'd never win another major.
Yeah.
Before that. You know what I mean? And then he won again. And then he got in this accident, couldn't walk, fucked up both his legs.
Yeah. I mean, he almost lost his legs.
And now in order to win, he'd have to play 72 holes at one of the most challenging golf courses of all time over the course of 4 days. After not playing a professional tournament in 17 months.
Something that you just kind of touched on is really interesting, I think speaks the loudest, is that Tiger Woods, and as far as I know, Michael Jordan was this way as well, but compared to LeBron, right? LeBron at one time was, a superstar, best player in the league. But with that came a lot of hate, and a lot of people root against LeBron. Tiger Woods is one of the only athletes, perhaps the only athlete ever. I feel like I've never heard anybody root against Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
From a sports standpoint.
I mean, I'm sure there's people that are, but how could you?
Haters. Yeah. Tiger Woods has no haters.
Because
people that hate him just because he's Tiger Woods.
I mean, LeBron is, especially in his prime, was an unbelievable athlete, but it's so different. Tiger, if you go back and watch old Tiger Woods clips, he is just on a different planet than everybody in the world. You could start firing a gun at him and it didn't matter. He was sinking a putt. There was nothing else that mattered to him. And you listen to it, you listen to the way he talks, and it is very MJ-esque, but it's different too because it's an individual sport. And that's one of the things that's
right.
Golf is so hard and you have nobody to rely on but yourself, right? That was one of the things that I feel they say about MJ is he never, he didn't have off nights, right? Even if he had a bad half, he'd come back and he'd drop 30 and he'd win the game. You know what I mean? He was just always on. He was always dialed in. Even when he wasn't doing his best, he was making that team run even though he had good parts around him. In a sport like golf, that is by far, I think, the hardest sport in the world. I know that's a big debate, but I don't know how you could disagree. And there's arguments to it, but anybody who plays golf, how could you? It's very, very difficult, and he is so good at it. And just when he was winning, when he was young, like when he was really, really young, he was winning at an alarming rate. Like he just couldn't. Nobody in the world could beat him. It didn't matter what, and he was never having an off day, and that's insane in that sport. And I think it would. It would be one of the coolest sports stories of all time if he won the Masters this year, I think. And for me personally, other people might disagree with that. That's a very what's the word? Opinionated take.
Sure. Well, I think another interesting aspect to that is, when we think about comeback stories or these whatever, it's so often for team sports, like the Miracle on Ice. That's what it's called, right?
Yep.
Like that's what first comes to mind, and that's a team sport. But for one guy to do that, that's very interesting. That's a big.
I'm so
that's a
team
very
Tiger.
Interesting
I'm so team. If he is playing on Sunday, he's winning that tournament. I just don't see how he couldn't. I don't care if he's down 8 strokes going into Sunday. Like he's gonna do something fucked up. It's just one of those. But that's the thing. Excuse me. That's the thing, and that's the reason why I love sports. Like they're so unpredictable. Like that's a movie script. So often in sports, you're like, this is a movie script, and it just doesn't. Like you lose. You know what I mean? Almost all the time. Like movie scripts don't happen in sports often. That's why they make sports movies that are based off of that are fiction. Like they're not real.
Sure.
But
those ones that are based on true stories,
are
like A League of Their Own, are the best, the absolute best.
Or Miracle on Ice.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be so cool if Tiger won.
It absolutely would be. It would be. I mean, it sounds so impossible.
Yeah,
for anybody.
That's
to do
what
that.
I mean.
To have to because if you're in an accident like that and he's walking again, but you have to learn how to walk again. You don't just at some point get strong enough to walk again. You have to completely relearn.
And learning how to play golf is not an easy thing to do. I've been trying it for a long, long time. So that's all I got.
I mean, let's see what happens. It'd be really, really cool. And I'm glad that Tiger Woods. I mean, he had such a down period. I mean, especially like after it came out how much he cheated on his wife and stuff, and she like chased him away with that golf club.
Then he was getting arrested and shit like that.
Yeah.
But dude, now he's awesome. He's awesome. I'm so happy that he got like a second. He got to go on his redemption tour and he made it work. He didn't, a lot of people like that get given their second chance, fall back into that same hole of whatever went wrong in the first place. He like, he's like, I would have watched the Masters if fucking anybody was playing. I'd watch the Masters if you had to go play in it, just because it's the Masters.
Which I'm waiting for the call.
Yeah. But the fact that he's playing is like, I'm gonna have to watch it. I'm gonna have to watch his rounds all weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then when he wins, I'm gonna fucking be buzzing. All right, that's all I got on the Masters. Done.
Okay. Do you have to get out of here, or are you still good?
Yeah. I mean, I got. What do you got?
I mean, I don't have anything in particular, I guess.
Oh.
But I did see just one weird story.
Yeah.
Was
Hasbulla.
Oh my God! Did you watch that?
Not yet, but I'm going to. I just haven't had the time to sit down and watch the whole video.
Yeah, I think because it's like 15 minutes long. I watched it this morning.
How funny was it?
It was excellent.
Oh, I want to watch it so bad.
It's so crazy to think. Like
that's the first interview he's ever done.
It's
his only interview, exclusive.
And dude, there's so much into that. But when I was watching it, one of the first things that came to mind was like I remember seeing that clip of Hasbulla, and he said his name so many times, but I still can't. Osman or something like that. The other guy, I remember talking about that clip on the show.
Yeah, when he first came out, like, and everybody was like, "Look at this kid fighting," and they're like, "No, that's an 18-year-old man."
Yeah, and now he's 19, and he's so fucking famous online.
I'm so in on Hasbulla.
How could you not be?
He's got NFTs. I'm gonna buy a
Oh,
Hasbulla
I know.
NFC.
They're probably super expensive.
I don't
But
care.
he is such a.
Sell my house.
I got to tell you, man. He's an interesting guy. He's a really interesting guy. He's a very introspective dude from like the things that he says in his, and I mean, he's a fighter. He's got a temper. He's not taking shit from anybody, but he's a very introspective guy. He seems like to be like he's I guess I should just say instead of trying to think of specific examples, but he knows himself.
Okay.
He knoes himself.
Like he's self-aware of why he's famous and stuff like that?
Well, he's self-aware of why he's famous, but he's more self-aware. Forget all that. Like Hasbulla knows who Hasbulla is. He knows his faults, but
Hasbulla knows Hasbulla.
Hasbulla knows Hasbulla. Nobody knows Hasbulla like Hasbulla.
We'll do some more Hasbulla talk once I've watched the video.
Okay.
But what was your story?
It was really cool. Well, I just saw this. Did you see about that rapper whose family took his body to the? Did you see it? So
No.
this rapper, got shot, and his family, for like a one last hurrah, took his body, not cremated, his corpse, a full corpse.
Weekend at Bernie style.
Weekend at Bernie style, except they were like, this is a dead guy, to a nightclub for a night.
And they partied with
and
him.
they partied with, so they had this
The
body.
nightclub
like,
let the dead body in?
They didn't tell them that that's what they were doing, but they just okay.
How did they get it in?
That probably Weekend at Bernie's. They just carried him in there
With some sunglasses on?
Yeah, oh, for sure. And that's the thing is, bodies decompose so quickly.
Probably
Like the
smells.
second that your body dies,
And they, like,
it
shit
starts
themselves and stuff?
decomposing. Well, yeah, sure. I'm sure they cleaned that stuff
wiped
up,
them
but
down.
like the general smell of
A dead
rotting
corpse.
flesh of a
Yeah.
corpse and just everything about it, like you start to decompose. You literally start to decompose, and that is so. I mean, it's not
What a
like
crazy story. I didn't see anything about this.
it's so.
I've been on the internet a lot lately.
The guy's
though.
name
I'm
is
busy.
Gunu, right?
Gunu.
Gunu was his name, and I mean,
Andy?
you can't what? Look, I don't. You want me to take your body to like a Sabres game?
Yeah. So you have to Weekend at Bernie's my ass.
Oh God, you're gonna smell so bad. And what about rigor mortis? That's
What's
something
that?
they did not bring up in
What's
Weekend at
rigor
Bernie's.
mortis?
Rigor mortis is what your body becomes completely stiff. That happens
Oh.
when you die.
Keep
I
me
think
loose,
that
man.
sets in
Stretch me
pretty-
out.
I don't know if that works. I think it happens really, really quickly.
You got a Weekend at Bernie's me.
Where do you want me to take you? The Cowboy?
No. I've been there in a long time. Somewhere like not like something that I like to do. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I know what you should do. You should bring me to like a bar league hockey game and like put me in my full gear and let me just sit like in the locker room with the fellas. That's what I want.
Okay.
Please do that.
Okay.
That's documented.
I
so
know.
That's like a pretty
If
much
that's
a
really
will.
if that's really
Yeah.
what you want, this is Matt Canada's video will. If that's what you want, then
Yeah.
we can do that.
You can Weekend at Bernie's me. Just don't do like anything. Don't let anybody do anything disrespectful to me because my friends will be like trying to put their dicks on my face and stuff like,
Which is so gross. Like not putting a dick on somebody's face, sure, that's one thing. But putting your dick anywhere near a dead body.
Yeah. Well, not.
disgusting.
Yeah. Well, they'd be doing it like in a funny way.
Yeah, I
Like
know, but it doesn't matter. Like that's so gross. Like just touching it with your hands, like
I don't want to touch your dead body.
putting your stuff on it.
You can.
Ugh.
I'll allocate some of my like funds. Like instead of giving my kids all my money, I'll give you like a little bit of money to hire people, respectful
Puppeteers?
people to Weekend at Bernie's me, so you don't have to touch my body.
Oh my God! Hire
A security team.
We'll hire the best puppeteers in the world. We'll hire the people that did like Team America to like marionette you.
Team America, World Force, or whatever.
World Police.
Yeah. America. Fuck yeah. That's what that's from, if anybody doesn't know that.
Yeah.
A lot of people
I think
probably
everybody
don't.
knows.
I bet you there's a lot of people that don't.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
A lot of people don't know that movie exists, and for a good reason. It's not good.
What? That movie's funny.
It's
There's parts of it that are really fucked up, but that movie is hilarious. I will stand by that. I get it's dumb. Doesn't matter. It's so funny. See, I get angry when people say that South Park even is dumb, and a lot of times it is, but especially in like
I don't
recent
disagree
seasons.
that there's like humor to be found in that movie, but it's just like, unless you really like.
But you gotta look. Post 9/11, everything was up in the air. You know.
Yeah, world police.
No,
it's
complicated.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll give you it. It's funny, but it's not good. Is that fair?
What do you? No, I think it is good. What do you mean by not? What do you mean by not good? Do you think the story is weak or something?
It's just not good. But there is funny parts in it.
Yeah. I don't because look.
It's better than that movie with John C. Reilly that I talk about all the time.
Oh, I just watched that the other day.
Huey Dewey?
Huey Dewey?
What's it called?
Walk Hard.
Hoover?
Dewey Cox. Dewey Cox.
Dewey Cox.
The Dewey Cox story. I just watched that for the first time because you were talking about
It
it.
sucks.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's very
pretty
bad.
It's honestly, I thought it was going to be way worse, but it's not. Like, there's a reason that
It's
that's
one
not
of my
in
least
the,
favorite
Step
movies, and I
Brothers
think
tier.
the reason that it is, though, is because it's one of my roommate, like my one roommate thinks it's like the funniest. Like he's like, we're like, you guys want to watch a movie? He's like, dude, we should watch Dewey Cox. I'm like, dude, I would rather get Weekend at Bernie's to a nightclub.
I do love the like Jack Black and Paul Rudd being the Beatles and stuff with the other two, Jason Schwartzman, and I can't remember who plays the other guy.
I don't even I'd have to rewatch it like to remember it. I've like blurred it all. I just remember watching it being like, when does this movie end?
That running gag though of him like walking into the bathroom and like all the different drugs.
Yeah,
like, you know that's pretty. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. The last
I'll give you that. That part, yeah, that running joke is funny, but
yeah.
the movie as a whole is like there's bad movies that I'll sit there and like get into like as much as I can, but that is a movie where like I'm looking at the time, I'm watching the time roll down.
That's fair. I will say Dewey Cox, Walk Hard is better than The Love Guru without a doubt.
I don't have time to have this conversation. I have to leave. But that was the most ludicrous remark I've ever heard. That would be bad.
Funny part.
Elon Musk would suspend your Twitter account for that shit.
The only funny
That's
part
how
about
much
The
fake
Love
news
Guru
is that.
is a joke that they stole from the George Lopez show where Mike Myers' adult head is on the
On
kid's
the same
body.
thing.
That's funny, but that's from George Lopez.
What did you do to my rooster? I don't know what you're talking about. Funny.
That's so stupid.
A Quebec pizza. A Pop-Tart with the ketchup. Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On. Andy, I love you.
I love you too. Let's get out of here. Thanks, folks.